There were two main operating detachments for the Blackbird, Det-1 at Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, Japan, and Det-4 at Mildenhall Royal Air Force Base in England. Usually, there would be 3 Blackbirds stationed at each of the detachments. The missions that were flown out of Japan were different from the missions flown out of England. In fact, the weather and flying missions for both detachments were on the opposite sides of the spectrum, since their geographies was very different. Det-1 flew missions over North Korea, Vietnam, and eastern outskirts of the Soviet Union, while Det-4 flew near the western areas of the Soviet Union, primarily in the area of Barents Sea, since their goal was to spy on the Soviet fleet of nuclear submarines. According to pilots, the most dangerous missions were the ones flown next to Murmansk submarine base, over the Barents Sea. The pilots feared that if something went wrong, say an engine problem, that it would have to go down to subsonic speeds, which made them an easy prey for Soviet MiGs. For this reason, all new crews were required to fly their first missions from Japan before they could fly any missions out of the UK. Of course, becoming a Blackbird pilot was incredibly difficult and competitive. On average, only 2 or 3 pilots were selected into the program each year. The physical requirements to join the program were believed to be on par with that of astronauts. But before flying any operational sorties, the pilots first had to fly a very special variant of the Blackbird for about 100 hours. The SR-71B was the training variant of the Blackbird and had a raised cockpit for an instructor, making it the fastest classroom in the sky. In its 30 years of service, only 150 aviators qualified to fly the SR-71, all of which were trained on one of the only 2 airframes of the SR-71B that were ever built. In fact, the SR-71B Blackbird with tail number 617956 was a record holder, having completed 1,454 flights and logged over 3,900 flight hours, more than any other SR-71 in history. But what if I told you that you could own a piece of that historic airplane?